Nou gaan ek eers kapot naam wees. Gelukkig kan François, ons volgende gaste, net in Tswana groet en vrou gaan het. François, oor na jou?
In Tswana, say
Ja,
in Tswana. But Nick is, I think Nick's
No,
Zulu.
but it's fine.
Oh, you're Zulu.
It's fine.
Sambonani bafowethu.
Is it all what you can say?
Ninjani. Oh, very welcome.
Vrou was verkeerd.
Angazi ukukhuluma isiZulu.
Oh, yeah,
But
right.
ki tuti kwa University ya Tswana sepedi. So ki khona go bolela sepedi ganyane.
Yeah, mara Sepedi le Sotho wa tshwana le Setswana.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Nou is almal relaxed. That's how you build a nation. We talking about a book. Ek wil regtig hê mense moet luister vir die onderhoud because I had a difficult weekend with just newspapers, and again, you're reading opinions and even in report, the well-known Afrikaans paper. Fred Khumalo wrote his piece in Afrikaans. They translated it. That he wrote in the book Black Tax. Yeah. And it's just amazing. Every time I read books like this, every time we've got guests from basically the same background as a country, but total different experiences. That I want people, we must start to listen to each other, understand our background. So, Nick, let's start with you. Nick Mhlongo, you were you edited the book, but it's also one of the chapters, is your chapter.
Yes.
Just a little bit of background. I mean, you're an amazing writer. The books you've done, you even came up with Maboneng.
Yes,
the name
yes,
for
definitely.
Maboneng in Joburg.
Yes, I did. Actually, the book, I was approached by Jonathan Ball. So black text is something that has been trending for quite some time.
Yes.
So it has been trending in the sense that when we talk about black text in the township, for instance, we talk about colloquially. So colloquially is when you go to a township, your unemployed uncle, sister, or whoever asks you for money or for particular help. Oh, buy me braai pack, buy me this and this, so we used it colloquially that
Yes.
you support members of the family, not actually also extended family. That's for instance, because we live communally, in a sense that if you have kids, for instance, you are working, you have kids, like I do have kids, 2 kids, they are 11 and 6. Their mother is working, no one at home. When they come back from when they come back from school, members of the community are looking after her. Not that you employ them to look after her or after them, but it's because it's a communal thing within the community. So when you come and then a member of the community that's helping you that don't have something, you help because they help you in turn. They help you with the security of the children and the security of the place itself. So so that's how we use it colloquially, that I'm black text, yeah. But also in other ways, actually. But on this level, I thought, okay, there are some people that are against this topic. So when I was approached by Jonathan Ball, already I had this mind that, okay, this is what black text mean. I had a narrow sense of definition, actually. So, but when I asked people to write the essays, the way black text they say it,
them, yes.
and then I learned quite a lot, a number of things that I didn't even think
Because
of.
it's 50-50 kind of.
Yes.
Some think it's a very big burden. And just to explain it as well, I mean, the first time that I started working with black people,
Yeah.
the first thing, when the salary gets in, the first thing, they send money home. And I thought it's just, that's nice. But you don't realize because someone helped them. When at university, the community helped.
Yes.
But it also, what I could pick up, for some people it's a burden, but for some people I think you're more comfortable with it. And I think, now I must get your name, Outliwile, Tsipane.
Outliwile, yeah.
And you're also more comfortable because you've got the story of your grandmother.
Yeah.
And then it feels normal, but I could say there's other professional people that feels it's a burden. You're still trying to buy your first car, but then you must, the family, because people were in the house, you must help. What's your experience?
Look, the way I fashion my story, or sort of this historical anecdote of my grandmother, it may seem that I'm comfortable with it, but if you look at it, I'm trying to trace the histories, the legal aspects of it, and so forth. But at the end, there's where I changed to say, I mean, who could she have been, had it not been for black text? How could she have used her money, in another manner? you know, to sort of better her life. Could she have traveled? Could she have done all these other things? Built herself a bigger house and all of this. But yeah, it's been an exhilarating experience in terms of this and reading other people's experiences as well. And as you're saying, we more or less, you know, on many different levels relate, you know, or our stories are relatable. Yeah.
And then the one thing, that's why I'm preparing our viewers, because it's a very Afrikaans program.
Yeah.
And if you tell people, listen, but there's a legacy of apartheid, the first thing they want to go like, I'm so sick and tired, I can't listen to it. But it's inevitable. I mean, if you look just the way what your parents, and now we basically, we differ 5 years.
Yes.
You know, but what your parents went through and still traveling, and the community. I mean, your grandmother. I mean, when she fell pregnant as a teacher, you lost your job. There was no black teachers. There was no maternity leave. So it's very small things that set you back. So it was necessary for a community to start doing it. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, definitely.
But it's the balance in today's time.
Yes,
And still, how big it is that we first. No, it took us it's now 2019 to get our first black female fighter pilot. You know, and it must be like normal by these days. But now, the moment she gets it, there's a whole family that realize, she can help us now.
Yes.
And it's family and friends.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think also that essay for me, I couldn't trade. I mean, my narrow definition before I edited the book was I'd never looked at it in that way. But I realized that, well, this person has got a point because of tracing it to migrant labor system, some of them, you know, that looking at my family, for instance, you'll find that migrant labor system, what it did was to institutionalize the how black people should work. Like, for instance, if you are females were not employed in most cases, you know, and then it was only males that were allowed to go and look for a job. So what happens is that the burden of looking after the family, it's with the woman. And then you look at it, there are the ones that have to carry the family forward, actually. So that institution has made us not to, the apartheid institution has made us not to look into a family, to entrench the patriarchal, our patriarchal, you know, our patriarchal, the way we are our patriarchal families, actually, but it entrenched those kind of things, the apartheid patriarchy, to such an extent that a woman had to my mother, for instance, although she was able to work, she was whatever, but she couldn't work according to apartheid institution.
Yeah, and you needed a pass to move to the city, to come for I mean, it was 10 times more difficult. We're going to chat more. A very interesting thing that I realized is, I think if you talk about black tax, it's a thing that's in reality when you start with your job. I've asked the question, but in the white culture, you see that people at the end of their lives, then they care for their parents. A lot of parents move into the children. So it's kind of reversed, but we're going to get to that. Ons gesels oor 'n boek en dit is baie interessant. Net vinnig aanleidend, die ander deel van die onderhoud is op ons YouTube kanaal beskikbaar. Burden or Ubuntu, Black Tax is die boek se naam. Ek sal jou aanbeveel om hierdie boek te kry. Dit is ongelooflik, is baie interessant. Jy sal weet ook as jy by jou werk is en so aan, of swart vriende het, jy sal sien, as word altyd geld huis toe gestuur. As dit lang naweke is, mense trek hier op, het TV's, they build houses, en saam met ons in Outliwile, ook as ek so by is Nick Mhlongo. Hy het die boek geëdit, saam met 'n klomp mense wat essays geskryf het, en ook een van die bydraes was Outliwile Tsipane. Let's just get back. Who surprised you? You know, I know like Fred Kumalo, there were some very guys with strong opinions.
Yes.
Was there some of the guys that surprised you with their views, or was it basically all the same?
They surprised, actually, each and every essay surprised me. More especially, I never thought from the younger contributors, for instance, that it will be, it's a burden as such. I think most of the younger generation, younger writers were inclined to say this is really bad. Why was that? I think I was more surprised by one of the contributors who said, like, when she went to the university, here at the University of Pretoria, for instance, what happens is that the church had helped her to to pay some of the funds, like for instance registration fee. But now when she was at the university, the priest was saying, now we're happy that you are going to complete because 10%, we know that 10% of your salary is coming back to that, to such. And also this person also referred to the point where the family, she was from the arts, she wanted to do arts, but she was forced by the family to go and do medicine because arts doesn't pay.
Yes.
So, that's kind of a black tax because they were expecting something after you have graduated as a medical student or whatever. They think you are going to earn this much and you're already going to change the family fortunes, immediately. So those are the things that surprised me a lot. But another one, that's what we talked about, is the issue of also Fred Kumalo, for instance, when he said he had sacrificed, when somebody came to his house, he thought like they discussed, he wanted to go and do a PhD or whatever, but now he had to postpone it because somebody else wants to live in the house. He has to take care of this family member, So those are the things that I think also they related to me, because even when I started thinking, maybe the reason because I'm the eighth in the house, so the reason my brothers didn't, my eldest brothers didn't make it into the, tertiary, and they were so clever, it means that they were sacrificing for me. That's why I'm more inclined to say it's Ubuntu, with me. But with the teething in the church, I thought, this is exploitation.
So it's possible that someone can actually misuse it.
Yes.
You have to find the balance.
The abuse is there.
Yeah.
How does it affect your life personally? Is there at this stage someone that you helping?
Look, not at this point in time, but it has happened. Look, for instance, I'm from originally, I was born in Vryburg in the northwest.
Yes.
So now I'm here in a place of gold in Joburg. So the minute you are in Johannesburg, people think, or in Pretoria or in the urban areas where obviously the salary scales and all these other things are a bit better. I mean, the stats are there to prove that. But now it's as if now you've made it. So now you'd get that call. I'm coming to Joburg tomorrow. It's a person is not even asking you. It's that almost that obligation. And this person is not even your relative. This is a person perhaps that you went to school with. And you need to accommodate that person.
Community thing.
Yes, that communal thing. Now, but it's sort of disorientating a bit because now, you are used to maybe getting your whatever takeaway there. I'm just saying, for 40, you're not used to cooking, you're not used to this, but now it's the electricity bill that goes up. It's perhaps you've switched off your TV for that month because you are trying to save that 400 thing. It's all of those nuanced things. But ultimately, as a financial burden, as a financial burden, it happens that somebody would come in there, and it has happened in my working life that people have come through that I've helped. Now, with the advent of social media, it's even funnier. Now, I'm just making an instance. Imagine that we are posting pictures. We are here. We're in Pretoria. Oh, now you are on TV. You are on this. You are on this. Now you are making it. The past 2 weeks, the messages that have been coming into my inbox. Can I have this amount of cash? Can I have? And it has, because now you are out there. People are seeing that now. There are those assumptions. So it's people are even almost used to that, and it can be strenuous on a person. Yeah.
Nick just mentioned that especially he was surprised by some of the statements by the younger generation. Do you are you being judged if you don't want to be part of this? If you don't want to help, or are you being forced to help?
You are a black sheep,
and therefore you
become
must
a black sheep. Because what happens is that now it means that you are branching away from the family. And the family has to stay united. Remember, we're communal people.
Yes.
So once you... I just make an example of a friend of mine whose father passed away. And then everything that has to do with the funeral has to be with him. Why? Because he drives this. He has got to pay a bigger chunk of the funeral arrangement. Because he drives a bigger car, it means that you are able to do that, They don't look at a thing like perhaps I still have to pay my tertiary education money that I still owe the government and whatever. And this is just a sacrifice, that I'm doing for myself in the meantime. So what happens is that they will judge you, and then you become a black sheep. And whenever everything, because we are communal people, also we are spiritual people.
Yes.
So whenever anything happens to you, it means, you go down and then you have an accident, maybe on a car. It's because you didn't, you forgot where you come from. You forgot your family, know? So that's why these things are happening to you. You have to come back to the family. Coming back to the family means being a better contributor in terms of financially, in most cases. So it's in that
but it's
nature.
still amazing to realize how big a difference 1,000 rand makes in some rural areas compared to the city.
Yeah.
You fill up your car at 600 rand, but to leave 600 rand in a remote village in Limpopo, that's a massive amount of money.
I mean, it can
and
keep
that
the family
economy,
going.
I think the balance to get that balance is huge.
This culture, I mean, that's been established, the black tax. Do you think it's sustainable? I mean, if you think about the once again the different generations, you said like the younger generations, maybe I don't know, maybe a bit more entitled, saying I don't need to give back. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you think it's sustainable? Do you think it's something that will last?
Actually, what I think is that there's both a good side of it and a bad side of it. The good side of it, it's sustainable in this way, if ever not everyone contributes equally. Because there are some members that will be expected to contribute more than the others because you are gifted more than the others, according to them.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. You find that I've got 6 books, because people are not used to, around me, they're not used to, they don't know anything about the book landscape in South Africa. They will think like already is rich. Because why people just go and Google, Dan Brown, he has made,
he's made money.
They made this money. He made
He's
this
famous.
money. It means that he is making this money. And books come with opportunities. You go overseas and whatever. Whenever you come from there, you have to buy everything for, not only for your kids, but for the family. But as I'm saying, there's a good side of it and a bad side. That's why the title of the book is called, is it a burden or is it Ubuntu? The Ubuntu part of it is whereby when you are, family traditions and family coming together of the family stays the same. And also it brings the family, the heart of the family, actually, the core of the family. Because no one, people are not, it brings, every month I know that I have to go home and then we have to make a braai with all my brothers and sisters. It's an obligation. But if ever we're not in the one, I'm taken as a black sheep in the family, I might not go there because, I'm going to, so and so is going to look at me this way and it's going to cost me. So in that way, so there's a bad side and a good side of it,
Do you think it's, if you take it away now, it's too big a part of the economy because of the indifference between rich and poor and start to making it?
Yeah.
I mean, if everyone stops doing it, it will bring a massive imbalance for now until it gets more balanced.
Yeah, I make the argument that, in looking at the bad side of it, but first of all, in order to solve a problem, you need to realize where it comes from. Black tax, much as it's in inverted commas, it's a culture. We need to be seeing that where does this thing come from? What are the legacies of these things? Understanding the structural problem, and most of it has got to do with poverty. Now, how do we stop that poverty cycle? How do now people start being empowered? In that particular sense, to say, okay, we need to be solving this problem so that we break this particular vicious cycle where, there's those expectations to say you need to be giving back and so forth. So what now the book has done, it has opened up the debate. Yes. We are not saying, it's a solution based. We are not even trying to intellectualize and say, as if we are academics and coming up with wholesome solutions. First of all, the debate is open. It's not exhaustive. Now, from here, that we are speaking about it in different platforms, on Groot FM and all of these other platforms that we've been to. And obviously now we're getting invites from the universities and so forth. So now, you see, it was trending in that sense, but now it's becoming more, should I say, more nuanced to say, but from here on now, what? So yeah, for me, my argument is that the cycle indeed needs to be broken so that people, children and all of those people that are experiencing black tax as a thing, they do not have the delayed successes. At a point people want to get married, but now
It's black tax, it's the ball, it's too
all
much.
of these things. Now you delay your marriage by 10 years, and probably by the time you get married, you're not going to get married to the love of your life because she has already left. She could not be patient. All of those things. Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you for your time. En ek gaan almal motiveer om hierdie boek te gaan koop.
Ja.
It's lovely to understand each other better in this country.
On all the in all shops there.
Ja,
Ja.
definitely. So is beskikbaar nou.
Welkom by die Groot Ontbyt se YouTube kanaal. As jy dit nog nie gedoen het nie, maak seker jy teken aan deur op die rooi subscribe knoppie te druk. En as jy gehou het van wat jy nou net gesien het en jy soek meer sulke tipe video's, wel gaan klik net op die playlist knoppie. Maar maak seker jy besoek die kanaal op 'n daaglikse basis want ons hou jou op hoogte van sake al kon jy dit dalk nie noodwendig regstreeks gekyk het nie. So daar het jy dit, heel eenvoudig.